had some odd and weird things happen here. And one of the things that we when I first came, we had the old building. And there was only one electrical plug in the church, and it was in the choir loft. Sort of hard to find. And if we wanted anything in the hall, like this area, you had to have a plug-in the choir loft with a long cord that went for miles. Well, my daughter over here was like 10, and she was the angel. She still is an angel. This is Rebecca. And we had friends who were in the theater business, and this gentleman had made us a star. A giant star. It was a scream. It weighed so much that it was hard for me to
quite heavy.
It had a long pole and a huge star on the top, and the plug-in. Well, the hall was like, it would be like having the program here, and you go to the choir loft to plug it in. So you had some innocent person in the other room and Rebecca's waiting for the light to go on because they had to follow the star. And it finally, and that's one of my pictures that I have somewhere. She's like this. It went on. It was such a shock. We have only her with her mouth open.
Any of these? No, those are.
Oh,
That's more modern pictures.
Yeah, but that's okay. This is a long time ago, you know. But anyway, so we used to do such lovely things with the kids. Lots of kids pageants. There were 2 or 3 people that contributed one year when we did the nativity, and we decided a lot of ladies had fur coats and furrettes, and they didn't wear them anymore. So we had everybody like Father, what was his name, Raybuff in Canada, came over and taught the stories in Canada. So I decided to brought a little Canada down here, and the natives were all in furs. And then some of them had manes, and it was really kind of fun.
Whoa.
And when it was over, we clapped and clapped, you know, because the kids were so cute as Mary and Joseph and the angels and I never was sure what the shepherds were shepherding up there in the snow, but it didn't matter. When it was over, some of the mothers said, "It's over?" And I said, "Yeah, you know, how long does it take?" She said, "Can you do it again?" So we did it again.
Oh, did you truly?
Yeah, we did it all
Oh
again.
my
The kids
God,
were
that's so
perfectly
cute.
happy. It was so cute. So those are the things that I experienced when I came here. And of course, Debbie was there. She's been all through this. She's been all the way down the line from an angel to.
I was Miss Saint Athanasius in the Echo Park Parade.
Oh, yeah.
16 years old, never looked better.
So you talk about being a good girl. You were a saint.
Yeah. That was fun. The parade, and one year we have had some conflicts. You won't believe this, between our parish priests and other priests who didn't care for each other very much. And of course, they tried not to share it with us, but it was sometimes obvious. And we had a new young man who had been introduced to the congregation. I won't say any names, but he was a little bit, how can I describe it? His sermons were fabulous. Actually, he reminds me a lot of you, only he was sillier than you are.
Oh, well, I'll try.
And he drove some of the serious people in the congregation crazy. But anyway, we had no money that year. I don't know what happened to our money. We always had fluctuations of money here. And we didn't have enough money to clothe everybody for the Christmas parade. So he said, is there anybody around here that looks a little like Jesus that we could use as a Jesus procession? And was a fellow down the street who had a shop. He had long hair, he had a very beautiful face, and we somehow got him to come up, and he was, you know, Jesus. And he looked gorgeous. He was just the best Jesus we've ever seen. And we had no vehicle to take us around. We had to walk. We were really broke that year. It was an interesting year. So everybody's walking, and he's carrying Rebecca's youngest friend, or younger friend, Monique, in his arms, and she looks, you know, she's a babe in his arms. It would break your heart. It was so cute.
I wish we had pictures of that.
So everything's in my head. No pictures. But anyway, as we said, well, what are we going to do? And he said, well, we're all going to sing. He's got the whole world in his hands. So that's all we sang for like 16 blocks. To the end of the parade, and the kids had a wonderful time, and we went home. And fortunately, we had great cooks. And by the time we got home, we had food. We were famous for our food. I don't think we were famous for much else. And the kids, though, we had a happy time. That was fun. And my son and my best friend's boy were acolytes. And David had a very exciting day. My son, he set fire to the decorations on the altar.
You almost did that last year.
Never forget those days. Because I never go to church without praying that nobody will set fire to anything.
I think I got you at the right season of your life.
Indeed.
But let me tell you, church was entertaining.
No doubt.
And my favorite story you would appreciate. We had an organist who was very fussy. Very good organist. Very, very good, but very dramatic. Oh, terribly dramatic. And we had, something had happened to our priest was sick, and so we had one of the suffragan bishops had come to help us, and he did the service. Obviously not musical. The bishop. Very nice man, and we had this beautiful thing that the organist was playing after communion. You know, they have, and he's playing, and I think the bishop got kind of tired of it. But it was magnificent music, and he started to end the service while the music is going on, and the organist got angry, stood up, took his music, and threw it across the church. He would have loved it. It went right to the candles. It was the most frisky thing I've ever seen in my life. He didn't know it was going to do that, but it was magnificent. And he went across, he slapped his chest and bowed and went off. And there was a silence in the church. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know whether we were going to have a fire, a war. We didn't know. So there was a quiet, and the suffragan bishop was so cute. He said, I believe we're going to have a meeting after church today to look, see who we can hire as the new organist. You know, he said this in such a calm tone that we had a hard time collecting ourselves to go on with the service. But he didn't know what he had done.
The organist.
The bishop didn't know what had caused this because he didn't know. But he said, I believe we're going to have to hire a new organist. So those are some of the highlights of my time here. And I did tell some of you about my sister and the organ that she donated to there's some pictures of her. She's 96, so she's been hanging around doing things
older
like this.
sister.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Hey there.
And she hadn't been in, there are times, I know, as you get older, you are easily knocked off your feet emotionally, and she was very depressed. We couldn't understand why we couldn't get her to do things, and it was because she had a beautiful organ at home, and nobody would buy it, they wanted to trash it. And it was a gift from her husband was dead, and she said, I want that organ to go somewhere, it's useful. Well, as they were going to the camp, which is in there's a picture too. As they were going to camp, they saw this sign in French. Wanted church, an organ, or church, a new one. And so there she gave this is when she gave they went on the way to the camp, they stopped and they donated the organ, and it's all fitted in, and she's happy. And the last picture I have of her, she's got 2 new books she's reading, and she's eating with other people. And
Socializing.
yeah, so was magic. And then this is just dumb. This is there. If you look at here, the cutest girl here is me.
The tiniest one.
I'm one of the smaller ones. I was the first one that learned how to skip. Do you know how to skip? You know, skip.
Are those maypoles?
Those are maples. This was May Day, and my sister was the May Queen over there, and that's me in the. I hated that dress because the girl next to me had a much prettier one, so I could skip.
But you were pretty.
Never. I was happy. I could dance better than
She
her.
was very cute as a little girl.
And then you all, those of you who knew my husband, he's here. I just had to put the family in. This is my son. And Deborah over there is with her family, and Rebecca with her family.
And then
And then this, I thought you'd like to know that I do
one
have
quicker.
kind of a religious background.
Here, right here.
This is what my mother carried when she was married
Oh,
in
wow.
the Church of England,
Look at the
and was at
maples.
the time of
Let's put it.
uh,
Get a picture.
was after King, which
King James.
the one after
There's bats.
Victoria.
George.
This is 1912. Every woman in
It would be
in
George.
the nation got a prayer book from our queen, and this is the one that my mother got. And this is what's left of my mother's gown, and I just thought
Wasn't
you'd
it
be
Edward?
Oh, can you pass it around? So
Yeah.
Wow.
Anything else you want to know?
How did you, what led to leaving Canada and coming here?
Oh, it's this.
That's not unique.
Michael and I had both tried everything. I was a window decorator. He ran a movie theater and this open theater where they had concerts that were side by side. And it was getting to be, we were kind of, it's a beautiful area where Americans
beautiful is
came
that?
a lot. And we had some
Yeah, me
regatta
too.
every year where Americans came across the line and won all the prizes with their boats and everybody had more money. But this is a little resort place where we live. And there really wasn't much money going on. And Michael got in contact with a company that had a big choir and they were going to come down and they needed someone to be the business director, so Michael got the job. And I was pregnant out with, which one of you?
No, David, the one that's not
That
here.
one. And I wasn't going to let Michael go alone. So we came down and, as you can see, he was born and all that jazz. But the job when Michael got here, he applied, he was all dressed up. I remember doing up his tie and saying, off to work you go. And he got a phone call to say that the position had been filled by somebody else and he had no job.
After they had already given him the job.
But the best thing that happened, and I'm telling you, this was the word I couldn't think of the other day, was that we had a fellow came from this church, new one was before this building, and came to the door and said, I'm going around to see if you're interested in going to church.
Then he came door to door.
And he came door to door, and he was a very humorous, wonderful singer. He was in the choir. We finally joined the choir, Michael and I, but he played the guitar, and he sang funny songs, and a very humorous guy. And he was not going to take no for an answer, that we were not going to go to church. So Michael said, well, you're English, I'm English, come on in, and we had tea. And so from that day, from that man coming to our door, I've been a member of his church. And that's before
57?
David was born.
About 57.
He's
Rebecca was
somewhere.
3 and a half.
He's in his late 50s.
I was not born.
You're not.
Yeah.
I was.
I was born.
I was
I was
64.
born in 53.
Yeah, we brought her along for a good, because she
It
was
says
here.
Betts Hall arrived in March 1957, gave birth to David in May 57. Deborah Hall was, Deborah was 3 and a half.
There you go.
57. Okay.
Got it.
I'm reading from the time.
Oh.
I know, well, see, I don't have that. I'd have to take you.
I do.
Well, you see, I
Want to see it?
have to take you with it.
blurred when I make them big though. You might like, these are all your pictures though.
Oh, that's mine.
Oh, I did.
Yeah. I have something to say.
Okay, do it.
Henrietta called you the Lovebirds, and I remember she gave you a CD, and I can't remember the song that was on it, and I think it was country or something.
It was a country song. I don't remember the song, but she was so cute. She was the lady who lived to be 106.
103.
103.
Oh,
She was Marcella's godmother.
Oh, marvelous lady.
Beautiful lady.
Yeah, so adorable. So it was, you know, we had some odd things happen, like the one with the suffragan and the priest and the organist that got upset. But there were,
Did the organist ever come back, or?
oh no,
That was
it.
He knew
Not invited back.
he knew he'd done enough damage. That was very interesting.
Well, did the bishop ever realize that he was the
No.
cause?
No, I don't think so.
I'm not sure I like that bishop.
Well, that bishop just couldn't carry it to the
Well, he
past.
was, you know, he'd never been
Michael Hall. That's
in
his
the church
husband.
before. He was standing in for somebody else, so, you know, poor guy, he didn't know really. And he probably didn't understand
And
the
he didn't
music very
understand the
well, and he
dramatic-
thought, okay, it's over now.
I want you to give it. But the one thing that I miss is that because I like to get up and do crazy things, I would like again to do a Christmas pageant, to do something like that, something at Christmas time.
Applications not being accepted for the Echo Park Parade. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I think that we lose a lot if we don't use our kids and use our own abilities a little bit more. And any story that I could bore you for 20 hours with stuff.
Yeah.
But I still think that when we have a community, we do more. And I miss that very much. It's been a long road that we've held. But, Wilbur and I are the oldest ones left, but I'm older than he is.
You're not.
He's over
Aren't I?
He's
No,
93.
Oh, he's
He just turned
93.
93.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, God. Is he? Well,
You're
he's
the
doing
junior
rather
high
well,
department.
isn't he? Yeah, I'm only 60. I'm only 90.
Seth, can you recall,
I feel 60. My brain feeling is it's gone. But
Here comes a question.
can you recall like a particular event that,
hey, bud.
can you recall a particular event like a Christmas pageant or something that is emblematic for you of what you're talking about? Like a feeling where people were really being creative and children were involved. Like, can you describe one of the
Tell about
Christmas
David.
pageants for us in more detail?
Well, I'll just tell you. I just tell you things that happened. We had we did the Christmas pageant, and when we say we, there were about 7 or 8 women who did it every year because you had kids and you wanted your kids to be busy, and so you were involved. You were at Sunday school, you were everything. And at that point, I wasn't working, so I couldn't be. And so we prepared for the Christmas parade, and my very best friend, Anna Marie Shaw, who is no longer here, her son is my son's best friend, and they were acolytes together. And they both were little wee kids, like 6 years old, on the stage, facing the stage, and they looked at the audience, and David said, "I feel like a frog." And he turned around and he would not face the audience. The whole row of kids are facing the audience except David. That is got his back to the audience.
Dressed as Joseph?
And then when the next year he filled in to be Joseph because Joseph was sick, and Joseph was 12. My son was 7, little guy. And so he put a beard on him and made him look as old as we could make him look. And then I sat him on a chair. So I said, "Don't stand up because they'll know how little you are." So he sat there with sort of a robe that went over his field, and he said, "I feel like a frog." Every time I say to David, "How are you?" He said, "I feel like a frog, Mom." But those
Rebecca
I thought he said that I feel like a fraud, and I thought, wow, he was quite bright. So all these years, maybe it was fraud, maybe it was fraud.
But we did put on events, but we did have a lot of people then. We had 18 in the choir, and it was.
We had 18 in the service.
Yeah, that's what's happening, and that's what makes it
It's hard.
Sure.
And we had, the nationalities have changed a little. We didn't have as many Hispanics, we had a lot of Japanese, several Japanese people in the congregation. A few Chinese, very few, but quite a large amount of conglomeration of nationalities. And I remember one time when my very staid brother-in-law from Canada came, and he was all decked out, and he was sitting in the second row of the church. A whole bunch of little kids came in with white shirts and medals on them, and they sat all around him, and he didn't know he was not supposed to be sitting in the seat he was sitting in. That was supposed to be reserved for these little kids who were going to be introduced to the church, you see. And he was so funny. He took his hat, put it in his lap as if they were going to contaminate him. I don't know what it was. And my sister said to him later, "Why didn't you move? Why didn't you stay there?" Because she sat in the choir. My sister could sing, and we needed an extra soprano. So she said, "Ooh, can I sing in the choir?" So we're all the same in our family, pushy. And so she sang in the choir, and he's sitting there trying to protect himself from the kids that are eating something, might get something on that nice clean suit, but he wouldn't move. And she said, "It's your own fault." She said, "You just had to sit there. You couldn't move."
So Seth, what do you remember about your baptism?
Not much.
Something wet hit
And
your.
the years following?
You know he was baptized here.
I know, that's why I asked him.
But you know what he was wearing?
No.
He was wearing his grandfather's christening dress.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
That's so
My dad's christening
It
dress.
was
They
a
should have
little
brought that.
tight, as I recall.
And we had a heck of a time getting him out of it. Parents were stuck in the sleeve.
So he was big even then.
He was trapped. And you were a good baby. You didn't do anything bad at all. You were perfect.
You were
And he
really
sang
happy.
in the children's choir in the Episcopal Church in Santa Maria
Okay.
for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And
So
he was
it's-
very good at, there were times when we
Mouthing
would go
the
and it was
words.
so cute because both he and his brother were in the choir. And if his brother didn't know the words, he didn't know how to fake it very well. But this guy had it figured out, and he would just, and then you know, you realize after a while that the words were not quite the same as the shape of his mouth. But he was doing a good job up there, and it was so cute. It was really cute. So,
We tried.
He's turning red, that's cute.
yeah.
Yeah, he confesses today.
Yeah, he said, "Mom, I didn't know those words
That was
very well."
We're thinking he was singing so beautifully.
This is one of the.
We still do it, by the way.
It was hard. I did the bishop's signing there.
We had a little play here once, and I can't remember what the story was, but it was a pageant, a Christmas Christmas story, and I had 2 lines in the play, and I had one in the beginning and one in the end, and I remember being really nervous. And we started the play, and my first line was about 3 lines into the play. It was really early in the play. Well, I messed up and I said the last line instead in that position. And so then the next guy went after me because I triggered, and it was over. Just over. And everybody was, that's it. You know, and it was, I remember the lady coming up to me and she goes, "You said the last line." And so he just followed you, and then I was like, "I'm sorry." Could we do it again? No. But I just remember being so so embarrassed because it was just over and all these kids didn't even get to say their lines because I said the wrong thing, you know.
Well, I wanted you to know that I picketed the mayor's office to keep this building from being built here.
Oh, you were one of
I used to
them.
be a member of
You were one of
Save
them.
Oh, is that you
Allegiance.
pushing the stroller?
And here I am, that's me, you can get a good laugh at this picture. It's the Save Allegiance, and guess where we held it was staged in St. Athanasius Episcopal Church. But that was in the little old church.
Where's the one of you pushing her in the stroller
couldn't
protesting
find
the
that one.
Vietnam War?
Yeah, I went, well, I did a
I thought
little
it
bit.
was saving the
I was kind of
trees
active in
and
those days.
I thought it was protesting the war. She was always doing something.
Yeah. Well, it was either that or you'd get my house dirty. So,
Or you were saving the Legion Park.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Oh, I thought you were
From
saving
Dodgers.
the old building from the
Against-
cathedral being built.
And then after that's for the cathedral too.
Oh, you were
She
protesting
did that,
too?
yeah, after.
That was later,
That's
okay.
later. Yeah, I was rather active.
So, you knew a lot of bishops then here, like you.
Yeah, they come and go, you know.
Yeah, did you come Like, who were
But
the
you're
names?
still
Like,
here.
You were here with Bishop Gooden and Bishop Floyd and Bishop Borsch and Bishop Bruno and anyone else?
Probably.
Garver or
No,
Her Christmas card that, yeah, where they.
yeah.
who was your favorite?
It is.
Or did you like any of them?
I liked them all, but you didn't get to know them.
Uh,
I was very fond of Father Blum, I liked him because he was wonderful with the kids. He was an amateur magician. Kids loved that, and when he said hello to kids, he'd take a quarter out of their ear.
That's its artwork.
Put it on the plate.
Beautiful.
That's what but he had that way with children that was really kind of special. And
That was a long time
that
ago.
was
I
a
remember
long
him
time
too.
ago, yeah. And but you remember those that made it easier for you to take your kids to church. They really wanted to see him because he would pull a quarter out of your ear in a minute. And when he died, it was very nice. Mrs. Blum, we had a little pottery class along with it. The kids all had made a little figure. My son and his friend had a little figure, and Mrs. Blum had them put in the casket with her husband. I thought, that was kind of another thing that he really liked. That sort of thing. There were some very happy moments. Those were sad in a way, but happy. We had a wonderful Englishman called Father Farnsworth, and I remember him for his jokes. He told great jokes, which made his sermons very interesting. And what was that joke I liked? Oh yes, this man was going around and he had a lovely English accent. It's really nice.
That's a lot.
And it helps. And he said, this man was going along the street and in a loud voice he said, oh, the wonders of God. And he went to this garden. And then the man came up in the garden and he said, you should have seen it before I got here. He's weeding the garden. But he was that kind of he would start, I felt he was very snooty because of his English accent. But he could come down to earth and tell us. That's another story. It's nice being here. I've been happy here all along. There's nothing wrong with this place except a few more people would help.
Tell us what's going on in this picture.
Oh, Michael's singing a solo and I'm playing the piano for him. And at that point I remember, what's that? He's trying to figure it out. He'd never sung it before. Can you see the look on his face? Like, help?
What year would that have been, or how long ago would that have been? How many decades
That's
ago?
only 10 years.
10 years.
10 years, I guess. Yeah.
I remember when I was a teenager and I was kind of reluctant to go to church on occasion. And we'd always gone, and it was like, I don't want to go. And so Dad started to do this thing, it was pretty tricky. He said, okay, if you go to church, we'll go to the beach after. And it worked. And so we'd have to get to church, go to church, and then we could go to the beach. And I can just remember, I'm sure he did that because, he was just like, okay, well, we're gonna get her there somehow. I don't know, bribery, but it worked.
And now she's accepted it. In a while.
It was okay. It was a trick, but that's all right.
Adolescence is quite a big bump for church, and so whatever it takes.
Right, exactly. I mean, I thought that's genius, really. Or whatever it takes, And it didn't cost money, It just enough to get in the car and get gas to go to the beach. That was it. So that was pretty smart.
Yes, thank you, Dad.
Yes.
I used to go too.
When did my mom come? When did my mom come?
I don't remember her not being here. It's funny. She seemed to be part of our being here. She's been there a long time.
I think I've been here 19 years.
Yeah,
Lately I've been.
I'm sure, yeah.
Were you in the choir in the early 2000s?
I used to have
before
a voice, yes.
That wasn't what I asked.
In the 2000s, I don't think so because
Like when Father Medina was here.
I don't think you were in the choir then.
They used to be members of the Citizens Committee to save Elysian Park.
You guys went to and moved to the
And here they're
valley.
protesting the building of the new cathedral center, which has now been here for a lot of years. Isn't this an awesome
And so
picture though?
Michael chose to go we went to Beverly Hills for
Awesome.
about 6 months. He was in the choir there. It was so far to drive, we decided to give that up. And, but we were fond of the Fosters, who are the organists who joined the choir directors there. And we also, when we had a lot of upheaval at the time of Father Kelly, some of us cared for him and some of us did not. And you didn't want to be a troublemaker, so it was easier to withdraw for a while if you weren't happy. And so we went to the cathedral downtown. And Michael was in the choir, and see, by then Michael's voice was good and mine had gone. I was just a member of the choir. But if there was any instrumental stuff, I could do that, but my voice has never been good. And he had a lovely voice, so he was, they liked having him. And then when this building opened, the choir started again, and we had a good choir. But I'm not sure what happens. I think that sometimes we get musicians who are pompous and difficult, and we get priests that could be that way with a intent. I'm not saying anybody was,